Hello, it's 9 p.m. in RTD. It's time to English New Edition for tonight headlines. So we have the President of the Republic is arriving in Paris for the international scene. Palestine step forward toward justice at the international court. Welcome to our newsroom. The President of the Republic, His Excellency Ismail Omar Guelleh, is arrived in France this afternoon for a 3 day official visit at the invitations of the French President Emmanuel Macron. The plane of the Djiboutian President landed after 3 p.m. at Orly Airport, and his descent from the plane, the President was accompanied by the Minister of Foreign Affairs Mahmoud Ali Yusuf, and his close collaborators was welcomed by Miss Olivia Grégoire, Secretary of State for Economy of the French government, and the Ambassador of Djibouti in France, Mr. Aïd Mossad Yahye, in the presence of the French Ambassador in Djibouti, Arnaud Guillois. Platforms of the French Republican Guard presented the honors of the arrival to the President of the Republic, Ismail Omar Guelleh, for a 3 day official visit to France. The President of the Republic, Ismail Omar Guelleh, was welcomed by Miss Olivia Grégoire, the Secretary of State for Economy of the French government, and the Ambassador of Djibouti in France, Mr. Aïd Mossad Yahye. The President was accompanied by the Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation, Mahmoud Ali Yusuf. The diplomat from friendly African and Arab countries and diplomat from Djibouti embassy in France have greeted the President of the Republic. Many officials, including the former Prime Ministers of the Republic, Dileita Mohamed Dileita, the President of the Port and Free Zone Authority, Abubakar Umar Hadi, the representative of Chamber of Commerce, Mr. Abdallah Ibrahim, and the head of the delegations representing the private sector composed of Hussein Kamaj, Hussein Mohammed, as well as Mr. Burhan Ali Gadile, promoter, and Mr. Delwais of the director of EDD, Mr. Jama Ali Gelle, the member of the official delegations of Djibouti, and many Djiboutians living in Paris and France, including the representative of the Djiboutian diaspora in France, Mohamed Adan Boka, and many Djiboutians made the trip to Orly to greet the president on his descent to the Orly airport, where the official guests of the French Republic are greeted. After greetings, President Gele had a first face-to-face meeting with the Secretary of State for Economy, Ms. Olivia Grégoire. Afterwards, official escort accompanied the President of the Republic for the 3 days of visit on Friday. The strengthening of cooperation between France and Djibouti, President Gele will hold an important meeting with the representative institutions of the French business community. Agreement between the representative of private sector are planned to be signed in the hotel sectors between the Kaman Group of Djibouti the and accord between the Djibouti Electricity Company and NG Group of France. The ambassador of the Republic of Djibouti to France, Mr. Aed Moussaid Yahye, said in an interview that the President of the Republic, Ismail Omar Guelleh, makes a 3-day official visit from this Wednesday following the invitations of French President Emmanuel Macron. This is an exceptional official visit that reflects the privileged cooperation between Djibouti and France. The President of the Republic will be received with all honors and will have summit talks with French President Emmanuel Macron on Friday, as well as meetings with the main French institutions and authorities. In the second part of his speech, the ambassador of Djibouti, Aid Moussaid Yahye, is talking about the other meetings of the President of the Republic with the French employers, the Secretary General of the Organizations for the Francophonie, and the different agreements that will be signed in the file of decentralized cooperations in energy science, as well as the partnership agreement between the private sector of Djibouti and France. Official visit to the President of the National Assembly, Mohamed Ali Hamad, of the regional representative for East Africa, representative to the African Unions of the Offices of United Nations High Commissioner for Human Rights. The hearing took place on Wednesday, 10 February at the National Assembly. At the head of the delegation, Mr. Marcel Akpovo wished to exchange with the head of the parliament on the issue of human rights. This courtesy visit allowed both parties to discuss several themes related to the promotions and protections of human rights, whether it will be political rights, instrument and mechanisms. The Minister of Justice and Penitentiary Affairs in charge of human rights, His Excellency Ali Hassan Bahdoun, has received today a delegation led by Mr. Marcel Clément Akpovo, the new representative of the regional office of the High Commissioner for Human Rights, also taking part in this meeting, where the Director of Legislation and Reform, Mr. Ahmed Osman Hashi, the legal advisor to the President of the Republic, Ms. Suad Hussein, after they welcomed and thanked The ministers of justice recalled the attachment of the Republic of Djibouti to the promotion and defense of human rights. He particularly stressed that human rights are elevated to the rank of constitutional provisions. However, he made a point of specifying to the social and cultural specificity of each countries and regions must also be taken into account. The minister also took this opportunity to mention the latest reforms to strengthen the country's judicial system with the creation of courts in the regions and in the municipality of Balbala. The Republic of Djibouti, through the Minister of Women and Family, organized on Wednesday 10 February at the Institute of Diplomatic Studies the Arab Regional Preparatory Meetings for the 65 sessions of the Committee on the Situation of Women in Djibouti. This international conference of Arab women is an event organized every year by the ministries responsible for the status of women of member states in coordination with the Arab League, and for the first time our country has been designated to chair this committee for the year 2021. This meeting, chaired by the Minister of Women and Family, Mumina Ahmed Hassan, in her capacity as President of the committee, was attended by the Vice President of UNFT, Hassan Ahmed Bilil, the Secretary General of the Ministry, Anissa Hassan Bahdoun, and the representative of Arab world in Djibouti also took part, as well as the Minister of Gender of Arab League member state, the representative of the United Nations regional offices, the technical and financial partners. Objective of this regional conference is to discuss the progress made, priority areas, and obstacles encountered by member states on issues relating to the improvement of the status of women in the Arab country. The Minister of Women and Family, Mumina Ahmed Hassan, delivered a speech at the beginning of the conference in which she said that the corona pandemic has prevented the conference participants from being received on national territories. She thanked the Arab League for its tireless efforts for the advancement of Arab women. She also congratulated the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia for its distinguished sponsorship of this previous session of the conference. The Minister for Women and Family indicated that in 1999, the President of the Republic established the Ministries of Women and Family, which played a tangible role in promoting the role of women and family in Djibouti. Ms. Mumina Ahmed Hassan took the opportunity to review the various strategies that her ministerial department had adopted in recent years, such as the strategy for the integration of women in development, the strategy for the protection of children, in addition to the national policy on gender and strategy to combat female genital mutilation. The Minister of Labor in charge of reform of administration organized ceremony on 10 February 2021 to sign a memorandum of understanding with the United States Agency for International Development, USAID. The Minister of Labor in charge of administration reform, Ismail Ibrahim Roble, and the U.S. Representative, Mr. Lloyd Jackson, signed this protocol in order to better define the mutual understanding between the two institutions to offer more employment opportunities and integration to young people. The ceremony was also attended by the Deputy Representative of USAID, Mr. Alpha Diallo, the Director General of ANIFIP, Mr. Mahmoud Omar Gele, the Director General of INAP, Sharmake Idris. The Minister expressed his thanks to the American people and USAID officials who spare no effort to support the government's actions in the fight against youth unemployment. For his part, the Minister of Labor, Ismail Ibrahim Roble, maintained strong and lasting cooperation link with USAID in the field of integrations and employability of young people. Today, this has resulted in the training of more than 3,000 young people in basic skills and the implementations of the digital platform for employment, which enables the matching of supply and demand for online jobs. The charitable association called Waratil closed yesterday evening the first editions of the Al Mahir contest for the memorizations of the Holy Quran, which brought together many teachers from the center of the memorizations of the Holy Quran in Djibouti. The event took place in the presence of the Minister of Labor in charge of administrative reform, Mr. Ismail Ibrahim Roble, and the Executive Secretary of High Islamic Council, Sheikh Ukiy Qawrah Fatah, who represented the Minister of Islamic Affairs, as well as the ambassador of the custodian of the two holy mosques of Djibouti, Abdul Aziz bin Abdullah Al Matar, and the representative of the Salman Center for Training and Research, Dr. Muhammad Qalib. The closing ceremony was also attended by Sheikh Ahmed Yassin Ali, president of the charitable association called Waratil, as well as member of the jury and dozen of guests. For his part, the executive secretary of the High Islamic Council, Sheikh Ukiy Qawrah Fatah, who represents the Minister of Islamic Affairs, delivered a speech in which he affirmed the ministry's continued support for the Quranic contest that elevate the Holy Quran. He took this opportunity to commend the effort undertaken by the associations Warati for the good organizations of the Al-Mahir contest for the memorizations of the Holy Quran, which brought together many teachers from the Holy Quran Memorization Center in Djibouti. The Ministry of Urbanism, Environment, Tourism organized this morning's February 9, 2021 at the People's Palace a workshop aimed at validating the report on the analysis of obstacles and favorable environment for priority technology for climate change, adaptations and mitigation. This noble initiative is part of the implementation of the project entitled Djibouti Technology Needs Assessment, which started in 2019. The objective of this project is to help developing countries to participate in this process to identify and analyze the need for priority technology that can form the basis of a portfolio of projects and advances in terms of environmentally friendly technology in order to facilitate the transfers and access to this clean technology. The workshop was launched in the presence of the Secretary General of the Ministry of Environment, Mr. Dini Abdallah Umar, the project coordinator, member of the National Steering Committee on Climate Change, various consultants and participants. A ceremony for the signature of a partnership agreement between the Center for Technology and Innovation for Development, SITID, and the National Agency for People with Disability, INPH, took place this morning at SITID's headquarters in the Burhan Bey Square. The signing ceremony took place between the Director General of INPH, Mr. Douali Saeed Mahmoud, and the Director General of the Center for Technology and Innovations for Development, Mr. Samatar Abdi Osman. The SITID, which is a Center for Innovations will have to invest in putting in place adequate tools to improve the lives of disabled in Djibouti. In this speech, the Director General of the State Centers for Technology and Innovations, Mr. Samatar Abdi Osman, welcomed the signing of these conventions with the NPH and said that everyone must participate in putting in place his tons in this machine that is development. For his part, the Director General of the NPH, Mr. Douali Saeed Mahmoud, explained that they signed a partnership agreement with STID. We are responsible for people with special needs and we want to improve the living conditions of our disabled people in Djibouti. The Minister of Labor in charge of administration reforms started on 9 February the holding of introductory workshop on the National Employment Forum. This workshop, chaired by the coordinator organizing committee of the National Employment Forums, the People's Palace. These experts on different teams as part of the rising powers of the Djiboutian armed forces and the policy rejuvenating its staff, the Djiboutian army has carried out targeted recruitment of young men and women from the civilian population. Their profile was specialists in all disciplines ranging from medical assistants to computer engineers and lawyers. This targeted recruitment went through several phases. Firstly, a call was made to the local populations, and in order to widely disseminate the applications, RTD branches, the newspaper, La Nation, and social networks were called upon. Once the applications file had been submitted, the physical and sporting event attesting to the young people's entrance was able to begin. Then came the phase of medical examinations, which authenticated the candidates' states of health. There is no doubt that physically and mentally fit soldiers will make a greater and more effective contributions to the defense and development of his country. For greater transparency, the military high command, mindful of the scope of missions, dedicate a commission to monitor and ensure the successful completion of this recruitment. On 4 February 2021, a local company lodged complaints against X with the PK 12 North Brigade of the Gendarmerie for acts of aggravated theft committed in a warehouse belonging to them. As soon as the complaint was received, the investigators of the PK 12 North Brigade sought the assistance of their colleagues in criminal identification, who combat the scenes with a fine to scam. The technical observations made and the use made of them made it possible to collect the traces left by the perpetrators, that enabling the investigator to formally identify them. After having gathered as much evidence as possible, the gendarmes of the PK 12 North Brigade proceeded to arrest 2 presumed perpetrators. The searches carried out led to seizures of 4 solar panels, 7 computer screens, 1 headset, and 1 VGA separator. In this hearing, the main perpetrator stated that he committed his crimes several times so as not to arouse suspicion. Our country has just lost one of its sons. The colonel is not pleased. He has been called back to God. A great clerk of the state. He was a high-ranking officer in the army. The late Yonis Hosh was a close security officer to the head of state from in 1977 to 1980, deputy chief of staff of the gendarmerie from in 1980 to in 1982, and chief of the staff of the Ministry of Defense from 1995 to 2010. He was known for his integrity and loyalty. He commanded his team through the welcome and trust respect he found among all known for his hard work. He always sent the images of an honest man who enjoys success and social advancement as an extension of his merit. Known also for his bravery and uprightness, he was an example and a model for the various forces that were under his command. He was an inaccessible sources of goodness and wisdom. The deceased was the grandfather of the Minister of Social Affairs. The deceased leaves behind a widow, 6 children, and 14 grandchildren. The director of RTD and all his staff extend their deepest condolence and deepest sympathy to his family. The minister and the director of RTD, we share you give, we pray to the Almighty to inspire patience, comfort, and consolation. May the Almighty welcome him into his eternal paradise. Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. And it is with great sadness that we learned this morning's the death of Hajia Ega Nageye Gudade. The deceased were the sisters of Colonel Omar Buh Gudade and the president of the regional councils of Arta, Ilmi Buh Gudade, as well as the grandmother of our colleague Saleh Hussein Darar. She leaves behind him a husband, 8 children, 39 grandchildren, and many great-grandchildren. She was respected and loved by her community. The director of RTD, the staff of RTD extend their condolence to the family of the deceased. We ask the most merciful to welcome her into her eternal paradise. Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. For the international scene, Palestine a step forward toward justice. A United Nations human rights expert said Tuesday that the decisions of the International Criminal Court that it has jurisdictions to try serious crimes committed in the occupied Palestinian territories, including potential war crimes. It is a major step forward in ending impunity and ensuring justice. This is an important step in the quest for justice and accountability for the 53-year-long and inexplicable occupation of the West Bank, including Eastern Jerusalem, Gaza, said Michel Jung, the UN Special Rapporteur on the situations of human rights in the occupied Palestinian territory since 1967. On 5 February 2021, the Pretrial Chamber of the ICC decided by a majority by the territorial jurisdictions of the court in the situations of Palestine, a state party to the Rome Statute of the ICC, extends to the territories occupied by Israel since 1967, namely Gaza and the West Bank, including East Jerusalem. This is it for the news. Thanks for watching us. Have a good evening.